Travel back in time to the 80s, reliving the advice,
Carpe diem. Seize the day.
the comebacks,
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
and the technology.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
Because just like you, we're stuck in the 80s.
Can you say stuck in the 80s?
Yeah, this is just a thought. What about Buck? Now, I'm sure he'd be glad to help out.
This is not the time to discuss your brother. I don't want him here.
It's just a suggestion.
He doesn't have kids. He isn't married. He doesn't even work.
He's a little out there, but he's responsible. And he's family.
I was strolling through the jungle one day. Met a girl and the voice from the girl said, baby, would you like to come with me? You see, my daddy rode home and they said, bye.
Hey, welcome to Stuck in the 80s. It's your host, Steve Spears.
And Brad in L.A.
And today we honor a great actor and an even better uncle. It's our 30-year anniversary tribute to Uncle Buck.
That'd be great. I'd be honored, sure. You know, I've still got the one bedroom. You know, I'm going to get a bigger place. But, hey, they bring their sleeping bags over here. We'll have some fun. We'll make tents and stuff. We'll get some toys and some peanut butter. You know, we'll have a blast.
Steve, Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Podcast Network. You can find our podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media mobile app. In addition to those places, get this. You can now just go to Google, type in Stuck in the 80s, and the results will include links to listen to our show. How cool is that?
Pretty cool. But you can also listen to our podcast on the CLNS Media website. You can find it at clnsmedia.com. And as always, if you love our show, share the links on social media. And don't forget to like our page on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
It's 7:02 in the AM. You're listening to W. I Don't Have to Go to Work Today, brought to you by Kowalski Tires. For the best in tires, see Shanice Kowalski.
Steve joining us today. She has been described as a twiddler, a dreamer, a silly heart. It's Jen with one N.
Hello. I've missed you guys this summer. How are you?
Well, it's good to have you back. It's still summer, isn't it?
It is in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a busy summer. We've had a lot of interviews. Obviously, people have noticed that. We've got a few more to come. But we thought that we're going to take a break today. We're going to go old school, stuck in the 80s style, which I guess is an oxymoron maybe, or double negative.
It's a smokescreen.
What?
Double bluff.
It's double bonus. Yeah. Awesome.
In the old days of Stuck in the 80s, we would sit around and we would just do a single show on a single movie. For whatever reason, we just kind of stopped doing that over the years. But one thing I noticed this week on social media was that everybody was going bonkers that Uncle Buck had reached its 30th anniversary. And so I thought, it's been a long time since probably any of us have seen it. So let's go back and rewatch it. Let's do a little research and see, what's tinkering behind the doors there. And let's just have a short show and rediscover an old classic and see how well it holds up over time. How's that sound to everybody?
Awesome.
I am so down.
Where do you live?
In the city.
Do you have a house?
Apartment.
On a rent?
Rent.
What do you do for a living?
Lots of things.
Where's your office?
I don't have one.
How come?
I don't need one.
Where's your wife?
Don't have one.
How come?
It's a long story.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
How come?
It's an even longer story.
Are you my dad's brother?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
38.
I'm your dad's brother, all right.
You have much more hair on your nose than my dad.
How nice of you to notice.
I'm a kid. That's my job.
So Uncle Buck was released on August 16th, 1989. It was John Hughes' last directing job of the 80s, and it was his second to the last writing job. Does anybody know what his final writing job would have been in the 80s?
Did he write Home Alone in the 80s?
No, that was 90s.
I mean, that's when it came out.
We're going to go by release date.
I don't know.
That would be Christmas Vacation.
Oh. Couldn't get any Hooter in here.
The movie would go on and inspire two TV versions, one in 1990 and another one in 2016. Did anybody here watch either one of the Uncle Buck television series?
2016? I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wrote about it in the blog.
Let's see. It's TV and it's Brad. So you do the math. Did I see it?
So both of them were flops because both of them were basically done without any cooperation from John Hughes, his estate, his family, or the estate or family of John Candy. So usually about this time, I like to do a synopsis of the plot. I think most of us have seen Uncle Buck. So let me just give you the elevator pitch. How's that?
Sounds
That's a real Hollywood thing to do.
I love it.
Here's the elevator pitch. John Candy's a bachelor and an all-around slob, but he can make really big pancakes, so why not let him babysit your brother's rebellious teenage daughter and the cute little brother and sister? In the end, it will work out. It always does.
Okay.
Steve, I believe that was the actual pitch for the movie. I think that was it.
Much is made of him being kind of a bum. He's dressed pretty good, honestly, for a bum. He's got like nice dress shirts on, and like maybe I wouldn't make that sweater choice, but for a bum,
you're right. He wasn't as slobby as I remember. You're right about that.
I love when he goes to the mom and says, "Oh, I quit smoking cigarettes," and she's like, "Oh, that's great." She's like, "Yeah, I've moved on to cigars."
Hey, I stopped smoking cigarettes.
Oh, good.
Isn't that something? I'm on to cigars now. I'm onto a 5-year plan. I eliminated the cigarettes, then I go to cigars, then I go to pipes, then I go to chewing tobacco, then I'm onto that nicotine gum.
Oh, my God.
It's just horrible. You think about it today in today's context of everyone being such a non-smoker. That's just am I wrong, or if there are just a lot of moments in this movie that have just a great comic moment, not necessarily having anything to do with the plot. It's just like someone figured in a way to shoe in a good joke, and it just kind of proceeds along that path.
Yes, sir. I actually wrote in my notes as I was watching it again, and it has been, I think, probably about 30 years since I've seen it. But I feel exactly the same. The plot is so loose. Like, it just hangs so loosely together. It's a series of jokes. It's a series of vignettes, sort of meandering to it'll all work out in the end conclusion. Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to be honest with 80s Nation, because some movies are for you, some movies are not. I watched this again thinking I wasn't going to like it. And the thing is, I did like this movie, but I feel like I might forget that I watched it in a week. Does that make sense? And no offense to anyone whose this favorite movie this is, because I like a lot of movies that other people don't care for. But
it's not a
yeah,
really
it felt
deep story. Yeah,
it's really not, and it felt like and we'll talk more about sort of the Hughes oeuvre in a bit, but it feels like one of where John Hughes starts recycling some of these storylines and some of these archetypes and stuff. In about 5 minutes in, I was like, I'm watching Mr. Mom, actually. This is like Mr. Uncle is what I'm watching right now.
Yeah,
it's the
like
same
Mr.
kind of
Mom,
story,
only
right?
With the brother.
Exactly. He's hapless.
That's the elevator pitch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe.
I think you nailed it.
It's Mr. Uncle.
I think you guys nailed it.
Yeah.
It's Mr. Mom with John Candy as the uncle. Boom. That's it. That is the entire...
That's it.
It was over.
You even got the flirty neighbor who's like coming on to John Candy for no particular reason, which
that
of course
character is great, though. That character is great. Her lines, I don't know who wrote those, but she is just like, they're so just deliciously quirky.
Well, it's the genius yeah, it's the genius of Laurie Metcalf too. Like, she is so good at everything. Laurie Metcalf?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So it was Aunt Jackie, Roseanne's sister on Roseanne.
Oh.
But she's like Midwestern. She's like from the Chicago School of Acting, that she's crazy good and ridiculously underrated as far as I'm concerned.
So I want to rewind just a little bit to that comment you made about it, like a series of vignettes. And I hadn't really thought about it that way, but it really is. There really is. There's kind of one through line, and the rest of it is just, it's the Meatballs version of Mr. Mom. You don't see movies like that in the late 80s where there isn't really a tight plot, where there isn't, it's not a little more organized in the storytelling.
Right, because Mr. Mom, another Hughes movie, it is a very tightly written plot, I think, right? Like, we watch Michael Keaton's character grow and change, and even the kids actually grow and change. I feel like the kids didn't grow and change that much, except for the sister.
Yeah,
Can we talk about the sister?
Yeah, that's why it's comedy.
Here's what I was going to say. The only through line, when you talk about a through line, to me, the through line in this movie is the rebellious daughter. That, to me, is the...
Yeah.
Right. It's Tia versus Buck. It's Tia versus her mom. Because Tia basically resents the fact that she was ripped from their life in Indiana, was it? Indianapolis?
Yeah,
Indianapolis.
The first time anyone's ever said, gosh, I sure wish I could live in Indianapolis.
Instead of suburban Chicago. And she is still mad about it. She's going to rub it in her mom's face every chance she gets. I mean, she is as full of I don't want to say the word hate, but there's a lot.
I'll say it. That character at the beginning. I actually texted Jen as I started watching it. I said, I forgot how much of a bitch this girl is. She's mean.
You know what? When Dad goes to New York, I'm going to take a week off work.
So you can interview new housekeepers?
I've had enough of your ugliness.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. We're all just a little tired of the act.
What's your theory, Jen?
So she's another Hughes archetype that gets recycled. I think it's like, let's give Jeannie from Ferris Bueller more screen time.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I didn't even think of that.
As soon as she squints, I was like, holy crap, it's Jeannie. and Jeannie in small doses, awesome, hilarious. But Jeannie with a movie all about her and how mad and mean she is, I didn't find it super fun.
No, that fire can only burn so long.
Yes.
So besides obviously the through line of the daughter and the mom, is there a favorite scene that everyone has that kind of stands out? Like when you think back to watching it this last time, was there one scene that you just thought, either really made you laugh or made you cry or made you think? Jen.
I had mentioned that were it not for John Candy, I wouldn't have enjoyed this movie quite as much as I did. It's funny because I didn't laugh out loud a lot. Like the bowling ball in the face, for example, like that didn't make me even smile. But there were like these throwaway kind of scenes and these throwaway lines that really made me giggle. And one of them was when he's outside, again, one of the vignettes, right? It's like not crucial to the plot in any way, but he goes out and he's like getting the cat and dragging it back in.
Kids. Okay, come on, you. Come on, get in the house. What are you doing out here making all this noise? Get in the house where you belong. Come on. Come on. Hey! Who let the cat out?
We don't have a cat.
Come on, get out. Come on, shoo. Shoo, 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 shoo. Hey! Open up! Miles?
It's like those little tiny jokes that I think I laughed the most.
Yeah.
Well, I think that underlines Buck's personality, which is that he's hapless, but he's got a heart. I mean, he's trying to do the right thing. He's trying to, for whatever reason, he thinks that they have a cat. He's trying to do the right thing, but he just can't. It's not within his power to do the right thing.
I would disagree with that. I think he does a lot of good things for the little kids. I mean,
eventually, but just
the pancakes. Come on, those pancakes are awesome.
They were big pancakes. It's true.
Yes,
and that's exactly like that would just have totally spoken to a little kid. Which maybe it's more that Uncle Buck is a little boy.
How often do you think about your socks? Probably not as often as you think about the 80s, or at least we hope so. But now that Bombas Socks is a sponsor of Stuck in the 80s, it's changing a little bit. I just bought another batch of Bombas Socks and wore them over the weekend, and I love them. Plus, my niece and nephew were there for a family dinner, and they saw my socks with the word Bombas stitched right on top and immediately recognized them. And they wondered aloud in front of the whole family why Uncle Steve was suddenly wearing cool socks. Even my mom's cat, Chloe, who hates me and generally leers at me from a distance when I visit, even she curled up in my socks later on that night. So that's all the proof you need that these are cool as cat socks. Why? Why, you ask? Because they're made from a super soft natural cotton, and every pair comes with arch support, a seamless toe, and a cushioned footbed that's comfy but not too thick. And there are so many patterns to choose from, you'll never get tired of shopping for new pairs. Plus, with every purchase you make, Bombas donates a pair of socks to someone in need. You are loyal fans of Stuck in the 80s, and so we have secured for you a special deal. Buy your Bombas at bombas.com/80s today and get 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/80s for 20% off. bombas.com/80s. So we're back. Brad, what's your favorite scene from the movie?
I laugh pretty hard when he's doing laundry in the microwave.
Is there a big, sexy guy in here?
Oh, please don't let it be true. Hi.
Oh, my God. What are you doing?
The laundry, what's it look like? Washing machine's still broken, so I thought I'd use the microwave. Nuke them up, Heats them up pretty good, too. It kills the germs and the odors that they cause.
You don't know what you're doing. You're bored out of your mind. You need a little adult supervision.
There's a scene earlier where we're introduced to the neighbor where he is swearing at the washing machine, and that's pretty funny too. But then later on, he's just given up, like, I can't figure out how this thing works. And so he's just basically cooking all the clothes.
That wouldn't work, right? I mean, it would just make it hot. It wouldn't dry. I mean,
it wouldn't make them clean, but it would kill the germs.
Right, but
it wouldn't in and of itself make them clean.
It wouldn't make him. He's cleaning him in the sink, but he dries him in the microwave. But the microwave would
put them in the sink. The microwave would dry them out. Yes.
Eventually, okay. I just think it would make it warm, very warm.
Well, do you want to know how microwaves work? I can tell you how microwaves work.
Yes, please.
The field inside the microwave switches magnetic polarity back and forth at the right frequency to make the water molecules in whatever it is that's in the microwave spin, and that friction is what creates heat. So if you put something in the microwave that has absolutely no water in it, it will not heat up.
Interesting.
Well, those socks had a lot of water in them.
Yeah, they sure did. So they're getting hot.
They're getting hot. Here's my question. What are you going to eat after somebody puts socks in the microwave?
That's true.
You're going to eat that food? You're going to eat that popcorn?
Instant oatmeal.
Ew, gross.
Oh, God. I hadn't thought about that. Things I didn't want to think about.
Well, maybe that's what Shanice means when she says, we tried to clean up as best we could.
Yeah. For me, my favorite scene, everybody gravitates towards why don't you take this quarter downtown and have a rat gnaw that thing off your chin? But for some reason, that scene is so mean-spirited and out of place overall to the movie that I almost fast forward now when I get to that, because I'm just like, it's just so repulsive and unnecessary. I'm going to be an old softie here, and which is sort of unheard of, I guess. And the reunion at the end, when the mother walks through the front door and sees her daughter and can't quite tell right off the bat the expression of her daughter's face, and then she just comes up and hugs her. The daughter comes up and hugs the mom, and everything changes.
It's going to be real different. I promise. I love you.
That's what makes Spearsy cry moment of Uncle Buck.
You had to go there, didn't you, Steve? I was having a good day, and you had to go there.
Why did you get touched by that scene too, Brad?
I was weeping at that moment because I miss my kids right now. No. My son today is move-in day for freshmen at his campus, and I'm like, 2 years ago I was doing that. I miss him. That made Bradley cry too.
I don't think I've said this on the show, but for the last 3 weeks, my niece has been living with me here at the Spears Lair.
Oh, cool.
She was
Uncle Steve.
Uncle Steve. So I've been playing Uncle Steve for the last 3 weeks. She was between apartments, like, one apartment lease ended and another one didn't start for 3 weeks. And she goes to college in Orlando. So, my sister asked, can she stay with you? And of course, I had to clean out the guest room, which serves as like my 80s cruise closet, and move everything out and do that kind of stuff. And I had to have the maid come over and like clean that bathroom for the first time in 2 years and stuff like that. But I've basically had a roommate. I make the meals at night. Like I make the dinner.
You make the pancakes?
I didn't make pancakes. I should have made pancakes. But
you can't get a snow shovel in Florida.
And then she would.
Good point.
That is true. And then she would like at the end of every night she would whatever she wanted to watch on TV, and it was always like Big Brother or Bachelor in Paradise, and I would just be like, I just could. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of television, but you got to be Uncle Steve. So she just left this weekend, and literally like 10 minutes after she left, I turned on Uncle Buck and watched it. So when I get to the scene where the mom and daughter reunite, I just, waterworks. Yeah. So I get you, my friend. Here's some interesting casting notes. John Candy has appeared in more John Hughes movies than any other actor, including Uncle Buck. Candy appeared in Vacation, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, The Great Outdoors, She's Having a Baby, Home Alone, and Career Opportunities.
He's in She's Having a Baby?
He's in the credits when they're all deciding what to name.
Oh, okay.
Granted, it's a very small
part, but it's, that's okay.
Here's what's really interesting. Candy was not necessarily the first choice to play Buck Russell. This is going to be like when we read the winners of like Who Got the Van Halen song right this week. Are you ready?
Wow. Had trouble casting this one, huh?
Yeah. So among the other actors considered are, and almost every one of these had another movie that was going on at the same time, so they couldn't do it. It's not like they didn't want to do it. They just couldn't. Here we go. Chevy Chase, John Goodman, Danny DeVito, Robin Williams, Jack Nicholson, Rick Moranis, Joe Pesci, John Travolta, Bill Murray, Jim Belushi, Dudley Moore, Tom Hanks, Steve Martin, Tim Allen, George Wendt, Tom Cruise, Dan Aykroyd, and the then unknown Ed O'Neill.
Okay, let's spin the wheel and see who gets the bottle opener.
That's just crazy.
That's crazy. That's like a who's who. That's a who's who.
And every one of those actors would have brought something totally different to the role.
Some I could see. Danny DeVito, I could see. John Goodman would have worked.
For sure. I mean, he's the Midwestern guy, too. He used to act along with Laurie Metcalf, actually, a lot.
Yeah. Bill Murray might have been interesting. Jim Belushi.
But Jack Nicholson would have taken this movie to a very dark place.
Yeah.
When it was time to let Bug out of the trunk, well,
yeah,
maybe we just let him out in pieces.
Yeah. Obviously, the other interesting angle, Amy Madigan, who plays Buck's girlfriend, and Gabby Hoffman, who plays Maisie, the little girl. They might look familiar because also in 1989, they played Annie and Karen Kinsella in Field of Dreams. So there you go.
Oh, yeah.
I knew I recognized that kid.
Yeah. We sort of hinted at this earlier that there's some feelings like this is kind of a transitionary movie to Home Alone. Good reason for that. The entire scene where Miles is interrogating Shanice through the mail slot in the door, that was the scene that gave John Hughes the idea to write Home Alone.
Ah, that makes sense.
So there you go.
Nice.
I'm supposed to come over and watch you? Hi. I'm Shanice Kowalski. I'm Uncle Buck's friend.
May I see your driver's license, ma'am?
Yeah. Sure. Good idea.
Can I please take it out of there?
That was actually one of my favorite scenes. Macaulay Culkin kind of stole my heart a little bit in this movie, I must admit.
Yes. He's a lot more likable in this than he is in Home Alone, I think, too.
Stuck in the 80s is proud to say Away Travel is back as a sponsor of our podcast. Both Brad and I are happy and loyal customers of Away Travel. Why? Why, you ask? Because Away Travel designed their luggage the smart way. They listened to the travelers and they discovered what they wanted. That means Away Travel uses high-quality materials, including super strong, but also super lightweight German polycarbonate in their bags. They have TSA-approved combination locks built into the top. And they have those lovely removable, washable laundry bags that keep the dirty clothes away from the clean clothes. And Brad, you know the best feature of all. You tell them.
Steve, I know that you're thinking I'm going to say it's the ability to transport Tron costumes, but that's not it. The number one feature is the USB charger that's built into the Away Travel carry-on. Powers my cell phone, my tablet, whatever I need to charge. And a single charge to my carry-on will recharge my phone 5 times. I seriously don't travel without my Away carry-on.
With Away, you can choose from 9 colors and 4 sizes. The carry-on, the bigger carry-on, the medium, or the large for extended stays. Each one has a lifetime warranty. If anything breaks, Away Travel will fix it or replace it for you for life.
You still not convinced? Away has a 100-day trial. Live with your bag, vibe with it, travel with it, Instagram it. If at any point you decide it's not for you, you just return it for a full refund. No questions asked. And shipping in the lower 48 states is free.
Hey, we got a deal for you. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com/radical and use the promo code RADICAL during checkout. That's awaytravel.com/radical, the promo code RADICAL, and you save $20 off a great suitcase.
The box office reception, very interesting. Even though it opened up number 1 at the box office, it had very mixed reviews. the late Roger Ebert, who was the film critic for the Chicago Sun-Times and therefore wrote reviews on all, if not most, of John Hughes' movies, gave it only 1.5 stars.
Ooh.
And he wrote, quote, Hughes is usually the master of the right note, of the right line of dialogue, and this time there's an uncomfortable undercurrent of the material. The movie is filled with good intentions and good feelings, but they seem to conceal another side of Uncle Buck, a side that makes the movie feel creepy and subtly unwholesome. Not exactly on the wrong track there, I think, but, you know.
Well, yeah, anybody who has a horse fixer.
Yeah, I feel like in subsequent movies, that's when the creepy and subtly unwholesome feelings got less subtle. You know?
Yeah.
I that's my feeling. I feel like they lost some joy or something. I don't know. I feel like this one might have been one of the last Hughesian efforts that had a lot of joy in it.
Right.
It started getting ratty. It started getting kind of mean, I think, his stuff.
Well, we're going to talk in a few minutes about where this movie ranks among John Candy movies and where it ranks among John Hughes movies. But first, we have to take time out for something we like to call The Seggies. It's time to play I Want My Mystery TV theme song. You know the drill here. We're going to play a snippet of a theme song from a TV show in the 80s. If you get it right, you're entered into the drawing for either a bottle opener or the Hall & Oates H2O Tour t-shirt. Right, Brad?
Yeah, baby.
Why does no one want that shirt?
It must be the wrong size.
It's obviously the size large,
maybe.
right?
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't go soon, now that Jen has expressed some interest, I'm just going to send it to you.
Just kidding. You want the bottle opener. Whoever wins.
Anyway, pay attention. Here's our mystery theme song from the last show. Yep, that's Jake and the Fat Man. You picked it. I'm surprised you picked this. Why did you pick this song?
Well, I was just looking for
something we hadn't picked.
Theme from '89 that we hadn't picked that didn't have a lot of words in it. Because I feel like if they have lyrics, that kind of is a giveaway. And I heard this and I'm like, that's pretty catchy. I feel like I should have watched this program.
Would have been fun. Anyway, do we have some winners?
Well, Steve, apparently not a lot of people watch this show or remember the theme song. We have one winner. So this week's winner includes Joseph Perdue.
Man, it was tough. I didn't get it. So then again, I don't want the shirt.
And I think he actually said he knew it, but then he said, I never watched the show.
That's interesting.
Like, how do you know the theme song if you don't?
I'm really impressed then.
You know, people amaze me.
Okay, Joseph, you know the drill. Send us your postal address and let us know. Do you want the bottle opener or do you want the shirt that Jen covets so much?
Yes. And I have it on good authority that he got a bottle opener in February.
Oh, so maybe, yeah.
He won last December. So
we'll talk. I got other.
Get
we got
in touch,
some swag.
Mr. Perdue.
We got other stuff we can give away now that I've cleaned out my 80s cruise closet. In the meantime, pay attention. Here's this week's mystery clip. If you know it, email us at podcast@sit80s.com and tune in a couple weeks and find out if you're a winner. Hey, now it's time to play a little game I like to call What's Your 80s Obsession? Brad, what is your 80s obsession?
Oh, Steve, my 80s obsession brings me great joy, and I want to share it with all of the nation, the 80s nation. This week, my daughter took a picture that she thought was very funny when she was at her college bookstore of a book that is called William Shakespeare's Get Thee Back to the Future. I was like, what madness is this? And so I'm like, that can't be a real thing. So I get on the internet, as one does. It is a real thing. Of course, I had Amazon deliver me a copy. I started reading it Friday night. It's hilarious. It's basically Back to the Future written in the style of Shakespeare. Now, okay, granted, you have to be a special kind of nerd to enjoy that sort of thing, but it's very well done. Like, is the gimmick going to get old 2/3 of the way through? I'm not sure, but right now, I'm really enjoying it.
Can you give us an example of some of the prose?
Scene 4, Twin Pines Mall. Enter Doc Emmett Brown in a DeLorean car. Marty, what wonder's this? What advent glorious? Unless mine eyes deceive, before me is the most distinctive silver frame of the DeLorean, a car most nonpareil. The future we do glimpse through these machines, of which I've heard, but have never seen. E'en so, 'tis clear to me the car has changed with alterations built for certain tasks. The plate upon its rear reads, out of time. A message of some urgency, perchance. Or a deeper meaning yet to grasp? He goes on a bit.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, God, it's so stupid, but it's just funny.
Oh, that's great.
That sounds really fun,
I know.
actually. That sounds fun.
I'm embarrassed to realize that I think this is straight from the movie. I'll skip a bit here, Brother Maynard. At one point, after Doc's out of the car, he says, "What dost thou wear? Is it a Devo suit?" And I watched the actual movie, and I think he actually says that, and I'd never heard that. I feel like such a fraud. Like, what kind of Devo fan am I that I didn't realize that he says, "Is that a Devo suit?" when he's wearing the radiation suit?
Oh, I recall that not, Brad.
Yeah.
Forsooth.
Fear not.
So, not only is it funny, I'm learning things.
Good.
Wow.
What about you guys?
So literary today.
Yeah. Jen, what's your 80s obsession?
My 80s obsession is radio. Like regular old radio, like terrestrial radio.
Frequency modulated radio in your car?
I swear, just radio. So, I where I live in Portland, Maine, we have the typical rewind, which plays all the same, Jesse's Girl and all the same stuff, which I listen to. It's fine. But then I discovered a new station called The Bay. And God help me, it's easy listening, but there's lots of 80s deep cuts that they don't play on the other 80s throwback station. They play Jody Watley, they play James Ingram, they play Men at Work songs that aren't down under. I mean, it's really awesome. So I got really excited about that. And then I found a third station. It's called Downtown Groove, and it's only available within I would say 30-mile radius of my house because it's just down the street from me. It's just a little community radio, but they play all this awesome 80s and 90s R&B and hip hop and stuff. And I don't know how I've missed it all these years, but all I can tell you is I was driving during morning drive time and Pull Up to the Bumper by Grace Jones came on. And I was like, this is the best station ever made. So I'm just excited to find on boring old radio these sort of hidden gems that I hadn't seen before. And bonus, I figured out after owning my car for 9 years how to program my radio. So
all right,
now I have all the 80s stations, boom, 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 right in a row, which is awesome.
The National
Radio.
Association of Broadcasters thanks you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so here's my 80s obsession. A few weeks ago, we did a podcast, which I think we just released today, with Alexi Lawless, where we talk about albums we connected with in 1989. And I had picked Billy Joel's Stormfront. It's weird. I've been on this Billy Joel tear lately. And here's the reason why. Aside from the fact that it's a good album and I enjoy listening to it. A few weeks ago, I was up in New York City visiting my girlfriend. And she has a lot of family that lives in Long Island. And I'd never been to Long Island. I've only been to New York City 3 times ever in my life. So one day we hopped the Long Island Railroad, the train to Ronkonkoma. Off we go through Queens and into the heart of Long Island, and we end up in Deer Park.
I'm just picturing Married to the Mob here
It's
right now.
something like that. See, we end up in the middle of Long Island, or what I think of as middle of Long Island. We were probably maybe 10 minutes into the island. I have no idea, no context whatsoever. So it's a big family dinner, and so she's got aunts there, and her sister, and uncles, and cousins, and the whole 9 yards. And it's not like any family dinner I've ever been to. There's actually, it's actually not just a dinner. It's a lunch and a dinner. So literally we had 2 full meals.
Oh my gosh.
In the course of 5 hours, I think. And I don't know if they were doing it to be polite to me, but they were playing 80s music the whole time. But every time a Billy Joel song would come on, they would all hush. Like, oh, it's Billy Joel.
One of us.
Yeah,
One of us.
Totally.
They would just be like, oh, Billy Joel. Oh, I love this song. I remember the last time he played it when I saw him. He is to Long Island like Jimmy Buffett is to Florida. And it was aside from the 2 meals and the train tour of Konkoma, the thing I remember most is like the hush that would come over universally across 5 generations of a family when anytime a Billy Joel song would come on the radio. So kind of got obsessed with it for that reason alone.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it was a great trip. I really enjoyed Long Island. I'd never been, and you always hear all these stereotypes about it, but none of it's true.
Sure.
I really enjoyed my time out there. Hey, if you have an 80s obsession, always feel free to email us. The email address is podcast@sit80s.com. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
How about Michelob Light for the winners? Sure. But we get mighty thirsty.
Would a bunch of guys really go at it this hard just for a beer? Well, consider it's Michelob Light, and that means a rich, smooth taste you can compare to any beer you like.
Those guys could have beaten the Russians today. You think they'd play us for a Michelob Light?
Michelob Light. Compare the taste.
And we're back, and we have a few minutes left, and I thought, hey, let's talk about Uncle Buck a few minutes more. But here are my questions. Where does this rank among John Candy's movies? And where does it rank among John Hughes movies? So who wants to try first?
Brad, want to give it a shot?
I'll give it a try. So among John Candy movies, I'm going to say it is in the top 3 or 4. I think Stripes is better. And I know that's ensemble cast, so maybe you don't give it as much credit, but I do. And Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, it just has so much heart. I can't put this above that. I feel like Uncle Buck is kind of the little brother to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. John Candy really needed an adult foil.
Yeah. Well, I think, and they came out so close to each other. And Planes, Trains, and Uncle Buck have a lot in common in terms of the soundtrack. They both featured a lot of standards. They weren't as full of contemporary music hits,
like new stuff,
as some of his other stuff.
I will say, I also think I need to mention Splash, because I think he's really good in Splash.
So good. That's what I was going to say too.
Yeah.
And then while I was thinking about John Candy in the 80s, I came up with a new theory, and it's been a long time since we had a theory on Stuck in the 80s. Steve, I have a theory about Dewey Oxberger.
Okay, what is it?
My theory is that Dewey Oxberger is the security guard in National Lampoon's Vacation.
Ooh.
Not bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. Came out about the same time. That makes complete sense.
Well, he'd be out of the military,
Yeah, he would have a job
security
befitting
guard.
Befitting someone who probably had a general discharge, not so much an honorable one.
Right.
I would put Uncle Buck 4th or 5th. I'd put it behind, this is going to be a weird list, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Volunteers, Spaceballs, and The Great Outdoors. But I'd put it far ahead of Armed and Dangerous, Little Shop of Horrors, and Who's Harry Crumb.
What about Hot to Trot? I mean, he did a lot of work. That's all I'm saying. He did a lot of work in the 80s.
Yeah.
So, you're going to rank them all, you're going to have to watch about 20 movies.
Yeah. How about you, Jen?
My list is quick. So I would definitely say this is behind Splash, which I think he's so charming in. Definitely behind Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like I think of the scene in Uncle Buck where he's looking at the photo albums and he sees that picture of him folded over. That were so sweet and sad. And that reminded me of a Del Griffith moment. So I don't know. I wish there had been more moments like that in Uncle Buck. I'm just going to throw something crazy in there. I also really enjoyed him in Brewster's Millions.
Oh, I love Brewster's Millions.
Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
he's great in that.
I thought he was really charming in that too. So I think those would be my top 3 for John Candy movies.
So Brad, where do you think it ranks among John Hughes movies?
I think it's a little outside the a little off-piste, if you will, because, you pair it again. I think I just said it's kind of like Uncle Buck is kind of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, his little brother. I don't think there are other John Hughes movies that you can really compare to those two movies. They're very different. They're more adult-facing. I mean, I know Uncle Buck goes to a teenage party and drinks a beer. That's about as much teenagerness as you get in this one. So I don't know where it fits. Maybe this is part of his transition. I mean, he doesn't direct a whole lot after this. This is the last thing he directed in the 80s, and he directed Curly Sue, and that was the last thing he directed.
Right.
So maybe he was just wrapping it up. I don't know.
Yeah, I personally feel like it's the gateway drug to Home Alone, Dutch, and Curly Sue, and it's focused more on the adults now, or the relationship between the adults and the teenagers. It just seems like he's gone through a doorway and shut the door behind him. Like there's not going to be another Ferris Bueller or a Breakfast Club or 16 Candles. He's focused on more of an adult family relationship at this point. It's still, John Hughes' best work still remains.
When were his kids born? Because I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
I would not be surprised if that has a lot to do with it. So, Jen, where do you feel that it fits in among John Hughes movies?
I agree with you, Steve. I think this is a really transitional movie. And I mentioned before the sort of recycled feeling of it, because there is one, to your point about the teenagery thing, Brad, not being quite so present, but there's that high school scene at the beginning when he's dropping Tia off for the first time. And it's the same shots as like 16 Candles or Some Kind of Wonderful, where it's like a kind of a nod to whatever teen came to the movie with their family. Do you know what I'm talking about? When it's sort of like they're showing a sketch of who's waiting for school to start.
Oh my gosh, those kids all just look insufferable.
You know what I'm saying?
Too. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, but it feels like an echo of 16 Candles or the mall at Weird Science, just like showing like, here's some teens in their unfortunate late 80s clothes and mock turtlenecks.
Yeah,
but
the problem I have with that is it's here's this single clique of teens. Like there's no, usually in a John Hughes movie, you get a little bit of spread. You get your jocks and your nerds and your dweebies and your sportos and your bloods. That was all just like these, horrible Chicago
teens.
mod kids.
Yeah. Wearing all their Liverpudlian hats and stuff. Far more fashionable than they have any right to be at that age. Well, there it is. There's our tribute to Uncle Buck. 30 years. Still holds up, I think, but maybe the heart has shown itself a little bit more. We certainly cry a little bit more now than we did 30 years ago. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, Brad, Jen, and I will remain here, hopelessly stuck in the 80s.
Stuck in the 80s is a member of the CLNS Media Network. Special thanks to Check Battery Daily for our theme music. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or the CLNS Media mobile app.